You've been lied to, not once, not twice. Every single time you trusted the news. You were the last to know every candle you chased on the chart was someone else's exit. The market doesn't reward logic, it rewards power. And power never shows its hand. Today, I'm not giving you a system. I'm giving you sight, a way to see what most traders never see until it's too late. Have you ever lost a trade where everything seemed perfect? You entered at the right support zone, had all the confirmation signals, and even the news supported the trend. But then the market reversed, and you just sat there, frozen in front of the screen, wondering where you went wrong. I've been there, and if you're listening to me right now, I believe you've been there too. Until one day, I met a man nobody knew. No fan page, no courses, no showing off. He lived quietly, but traded as if he could see the future. He became my teacher, and he said something that forever changed the way I see the market. The chart is not the market. It's just a curtain people put up to hide what's really going on. From that moment, I stepped into another world. A world unlike any trading class you've ever taken. A world where the CPI figure matters less than the look in the Fed chairman's eyes during a press conference. A world where good news isn't a buy signal, it's just a quiet way for someone to pull liquidity out. Today, I'm going to tell you about the first door my teacher opened for me. Macroeconomic analysis from the perspective of a man who never appeared online, but survived multiple crises that most traders never come back from. When I first entered this profession, I believed in technical analysis not casually, but like a belief system. I studied every candlestick pattern, every price structure, every RSI, MACD, Bollinger Band, and Fibonacci level. I read every word of every book written by legendary traders. I stayed up countless nights analyzing charts, backtesting trades, drawing zones like I was holding the key to success. And yet, I still blew my account, not because I was bad, but because I was using a fish knife to dissect an elephant. The market doesn't react to technicals, it reacts to power and capital flow. But I didn't know that at the time. I thought I was analyzing. In reality, I was just looking in the direction others wanted me to look. Then I met him, the man I would later call my teacher. I had just lost a trade on USDJPY. The news was good. I went long, price dropped straight down, and I lost 40% of my account in just a few hours. I brought that story to him, hoping he would find the flaw in my technical analysis. But he didn't look at the chart. He didn't ask what indicators I used, didn't count waves, didn't spot patterns. He just poured tea, looked at me calmly, and asked, "You think the market reacts to news?" I nodded and answered like the textbooks. Yes, based on expectations and data. He smiled a smile I later realized was one of compassion. You're wrong. You're looking at what they let you see. But what really drives the market doesn't show up on the chart, it happens behind the scenes. I froze, and then he said a line that became my first real awakening. The chart only reflects the emotions of those without information. From that moment on, I knew I had to start over. Not learning how to trade, but learning how to see the market through the eyes of those who actually run it. No longer just a trader, but a reader of power and flow. Right after this, I'll show you how my teacher read the market without even looking at a chart. And why the people who quietly survive in the market never talk about RSI, engulfing candles, or chart patterns. They only talk about one thing, the real reaction of money flow. There was a time, after my teacher taught me how to see capital movements and policy responses, that I felt like I had awakened from a long dream. I started trading less, but every trade I made, I knew exactly why I entered. I was no longer afraid of the news. I no longer clung to signals. I just observed and waited for a reaction. And during that phase, I wanted to help a close brother of mine. Someone who had stayed up all night trading with me, who had burned accounts, struggled, and repeated the same mistakes I once did. I shared everything with him, every macro perspective, every lesson passed down from my teacher. I spoke with complete sincerity, but not only did he not listen, he pushed back immediately, his tone sharp. "You think you understand more than me?" I was surprised and asked back, "I just don't want you to repeat the same old cycle." But he snapped, "I don't need you to teach me. I trade my way. How much profit have you even made to start acting like someone's mentor?" That hit me straight in the heart. Not because of pride, but because I truly wanted to help, and what I got in return was harshness from someone I used to be so close with. I told my teacher about it. He just sat still, without showing any emotion. Then he said just one line, "Don't interfere with another person's karma." I stayed silent. He looked at me, then slowly added, "If you want to help someone, speak. But whether they listen is up to them. A tree only sprouts when the seed has had enough time to decay in the soil." That's when I understood one thing: not everyone is ready to understand. Not everyone wants to wake up, and not everyone is allowed to wake up just yet. That's also why I created this channel, not to teach you how to enter trades, not to show off, but to speak the things that someone who's truly ready might hear. If even one person out of thousands who watch this video stops at the right moment, exits a dangerous trade, or reflects before depositing more money than to me, that's enough. Because the market doesn't need more people who are good at technicals. It needs more people who understand themselves before understanding waves. And if I can pass on even a small part of what my teacher taught me, then even if only one person hears it, it's still worth telling the story. Right after this, I'll share with you how my teacher reads the market without charts, and why those who silently survive in this market never talk about technicals, only about the reaction of capital flow. After the first time I met him, I followed him like a shadow. I thought he would teach me some holy grail pattern or an unbeatable system. But no, he didn't start with charts. He didn't reject technical analysis, but he never touched a chart without first understanding the macro context. My teacher had a complete strategy, a system he had used to survive through many crises. And in that system, the very first step was always macro analysis. Because he believed that if you don't know where the big money is flowing, then no matter how accurate your technicals are, you're still betting against the people with power. One day, he placed 3 lines in front of me. The first, monetary policy. 2, the market's reaction. 3, global capital flows. He underlined the second point and said, "This is where most traders fail. They don't analyze reactions, they analyze expectations. And expectations are often what the media feeds the crowd." He gave an example. Gold prices fall despite good news. The USD rises despite low CPI. The crowd panics. But those who truly have money, they don't panic. They were already in position before the news came out. I asked, How do they know ahead of time? He replied, "You don't need to know the details. Just watch who can move the market against logic and ask who they are." That was the first time I understood. Macro analysis is not about predicting price. It's about identifying who's holding the flag, who's leading the game. My mentor never opposed technical charts, but he taught me, if the chart is a map, then macro is the wind. Don't raise your sails when the wind is blowing the wrong way. From that day, before opening any chart, I always checked the interest rates. I looked at the Fed meeting calendar. I read between the lines of central bank speeches. And slowly, the chart stopped being a mystery. It became just the visible part of a bigger picture one I was starting to understand from beneath the surface. Right after this, I'll share with you the 3 core principles my mentor used in this macro framework. If you've ever lost money because the news moved opposite to expectations, if you've ever felt confused by strange market reactions, then this might be the moment you need to start from scratch. After months of observing my mentor, tracking every interest rate meeting, noticing how he stayed silent when everyone else was loud, I began to see it. He never looked at the market as a technical game. Whenever I asked, "Do you think the USD will go up or down?" he always gave the same reply: "You're asking the wrong question. The right question is, who has a reason to make the USD move?" Principle 1. Analyze the reaction, not the data. My mentor didn't care how the market should react. He only cared about how it actually reacted. He used to say, "The news doesn't matter. What matters is who acts first and who flinches last." There was a time when the US CPI came in better than expected. The crowd rushed to buy USD like a dam had burst. But right then my mentor sold. I asked, "Why go against it? It's good news." He said, "The crowd is jumping in last when everyone already knows the good news. The real players are now offloading. And I win not because I predict right, but because I understand the rules of reaction." Principle 2. Watch the money flow, not the chart. He taught me how to track the invisible flows of capital. What are ETFs buying? Which countries are adjusting their foreign reserves? Where are government bonds being dumped? He said, "Money flow doesn't lie. It just doesn't speak in words. But if you know how to listen, it tells you more than any headline." And it's true. Once I started watching the flow instead of the chart, I stopped falling for fake breakouts. I stopped getting trapped every time the media shouted strong growth. Principle 3. Always think in paradoxes, go against public expectations. This was the hardest and the most painful principle, because it forced me to question everything I thought was true. When the market rose, I had to ask, who's about to cash out? When it fell, I had to think, who's quietly buying? He told me, if you're reacting with the crowd, you're late. If you feel scared to take the trade, you might just be on the right track. Once, the whole trading community believed that Day would rally due to easing policies. Not only did my mentor sell, he called it the prettiest trap of the year. And sure enough, Day collapsed in a vertical fall. I looked at him and had no more questions. Those 3 principles sound simple, but if you practice them long enough, you'll see they don't teach you how to win. They teach you how to survive. And in trading, surviving long enough is the biggest win of all. Right after this, I'll share with you one trade I took using these 3 principles. And it changed the way I face the market forever. not because of the profit, but because, for the first time, I wasn't afraid when price moved against me. I still remember that day vividly. The USD had just released an excellent CPI report. The entire community was excited. Forums were buzzing. News sites were racing to predict continued USD strength. On the chart, USDJPY had just broken a previous high. The setup was perfect. The news was good. Market sentiment was overwhelmingly bullish. Everyone was buying, and I was selling. Yes, I sold at the top when everyone else was buying. When all believed there was no reason for the USD to fall. I didn't rely on technicals. I saw the money wasn't moving. The news hit. Price moved, but there was no large volume. Just weak pushes, as if someone was making fake waves to draw in latecomers. And I remembered what my mentor said. When price moves strongly, but money doesn't follow, someone is pushing the boat. To jump off, not to stay on. I placed a sell order. A very tight stop loss, no big expectations. I acted because everything told me something didn't add up. And within the next 30 minutes, USDJPY slowly reversed and dropped like a stone. No bad news was released. No one could explain why. I didn't catch the whole move, but I knew. I had seen it right. Not from the chart, but from the flow. The profit wasn't much, but that trade gave me something that hundreds of past trades never had. Understanding for the first time, I didn't enter based on signals, but on irregularities. I didn't care how many pips it would go. I just saw the market was lying, and I acted on the silence of the money flow. From that trade on, I was no longer a trader chasing charts. I became an observer of a living, breathing market. A creature that speaks, deceives, and hides itself. Now, to close this first part, I'll leave you with a promise and a message. Don't search for a holy grail system. Search for the power that leads the market. Maybe you expected I'd give you a formula, an indicator, a magic pattern. But no, what you just heard is only the first part of what my mentor passed down to me. Macro analysis isn't the end. It's just the gateway. The first door that leads you out of the darkness of chart dependency. Once you walk through it, you start to see things most traders never notice. Unusual reactions to what seemed like clear data. The silence of big money before a reversal. The invisible hands manipulating the chart to bait you into error. That's exactly what I'll share in part 2. How my mentor detected market manipulation without needing to see volume. Without footprint charts, just by spotting when price lies in silence. You don't need to be smarter than others. You just need to see earlier. And to see earlier, you must stand in the right perspective. I didn't create this channel to teach you how to trade. I created it to share what I wish someone had told me. Before I made the same mistakes you might be making now. Someone once asked me, "You've been doing this for so long, does anyone really understand what you're saying?" I smiled and answered, "If just one person understands, it's enough." If you've listened this far and something inside you stirred, maybe you are that one person. Leave a comment. I'm ready to see everything from the beginning. That's not a commitment to me. It's a commitment to yourself. And if you truly found value in this video, please share it somewhere out there. Someone else is lost, just like you once were. And maybe one sentence from this video can save them from another wrong trade. I used to trade like a gambler. Now I still trade, but with the mindset of a survivor. I'll see you in part 2, where I'll tell you how my mentor spotted the most sophisticated manipulations in the market, even when no one else noticed.